These bitches be playing. She ain't gon' do all that shit that she saying. Do I need to weigh in on the situation? Bitch, I been patient. Press. Cardi don't need more press. Kill them all, put them hoes to rest. Walk in bulletproof vest. Please tell me who she gon' take. Murder scene, Cardi made a mess. Pop up, guess who, bitch? Pop up, guess who, bitch?
Bum, bum, bum. Da-da-dum-dum. Yeah. Yo. Da-dum-dum-dum. Do-dum-dum-dum. Yo. Yeah. Da-dum-dum-dum. You were standing there the whole time? Oh. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube. I know I haven't uploaded recently. It's just that I feel like have been so much busier than before. So I promised you guys I was gonna come with this video and tell you guys my story time. I want to do a story time about some creepy ass shit that happened to me and my husband on our very first apartments we have moved in at. So let's get started. And you know, like, I'm just a little bitch sometimes, so I have my lights on, my vanity lights. I have a night light, I have the room light, I have the window open. I'm just scared to tell this. So I want to start off with saying that when me and my husband moved in together, we were I believe he was 17 or 18, I don't remember, or we were both 18 years old when we first moved in together. We moved in, I was already
This is my microphone, by the way.
Anyways, so when we first moved in together, we moved in when we were 18. I was already pregnant with my daughter. I don't remember how far along I was, but I don't think it matters. So our very first apartments we moved in, they were called Vista Agave Falls here in Austin. What happened was I went in there first, and of course I was excited because that was our first place or whatever, but I don't know, like, I just got chills at the same time when I went in there. Some of my friends, my very close friends, know that I have, and my family is the same way. Like, my family is the same way, that we can feel, I don't know, maybe I'm just fucking crazy or whatever, but that's something about us that we have, that we always sense. Like, the bad energies, even with people, like, if I just, you know, like, I can feel that vibe, that bad connection with people. We didn't really have much stuff at all. We didn't even have couches at the time. We only had my bed and 2 TVs. That's it. So I think our very first creepiest stuff that happened was that my daughter, when I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and whenever I had her, we were still living there. We were living there for 2 years because our contract was for 2 years. We couldn't break it. So what happened is that during my whole pregnancy, I don't know, like, I hated being in that place. When my husband was at school or working, most of my time I would spend it, if I wasn't at work or school, I would spend it with my mom, because he used to work night shifts at night. He would come home like at 12 in the morning from work. So he was never really home. We both never really were home because of school and work. So whenever I was there and he wasn't there, I would go to my mom's house because I hated to be there. It was just, I don't know, it was so quiet and so creepy. I just don't know, this feeling, like, I just didn't want to be there. So fast forward, when I gave birth to my daughter in October, I had her, and I think when she had turned, when she had turned 3 months or 2 months, I believe, she wouldn't stop crying. We had her that little red bracelet, and you know, so she wouldn't get ojo, because we're Mexican as hell. but she would just cry and cry and cry nonstop. We even thought like we would take her to the hospital. Nothing was wrong with her, and we ended up taking her to her doctor, and she thought maybe it was her milk. So we ended up switching her milk, but she was just still like so fussy all the time. Like she would cry all day, but it was mostly night times, like almost literally all night, to the point where the neighbors even came to complain like if my daughter was okay. She would cry all night, like all freaking night. There was times where I just didn't even know what to do anymore. We went to the hospital, we gone to doctors, but she was perfectly fine. Like there was nothing wrong with her. The next thing is my daughter's getting a little bit older. She was, I believe, 4 months. I don't know, she was still little. So here's when I started noticing that there was creepy shit going on, because whenever she was already able to sit up a little bit, for her to be like in like the little bouncies or in just a little rocking chair, I would put it in the living room. But I started noticing that she would only stay quiet in the room. She would, you know, kind of calm down more in the room. But it was so weird because every single time when we would go to the living room, she would cry her ass off. Like she would scream like if something was hurting her. And my husband also thought that she was, you know, like so weird, but we thought maybe she had colics or something. Like we tried so many things and it wouldn't work. So whenever my daughter, one time, I had the bouncy in one of the corners. Now the kitchen, it didn't have, most of the kitchens, you know how it has a little window, you know, you can't see through the living room, but this didn't have it. The kitchen was closed. Let's say it was just a little tiny room. It had no window for you to see the living room or nothing. All you saw is just a little bit piece of the dining area. So I remember one time my daughter was in the bouncy, right in the corner, in the living room. I had the TV there. And I was cooking before my husband came home. And I don't know, I'm even getting chills right now. I don't know what the hell, but I swear I saw like a black shadow pass by, like just so fast, by the dining area. Now again, like the kitchen didn't have a window, so I can't see through the living room or what the hell. I just saw like some really tall like black figure just pass by. And I know I wasn't like bullshitting, because at the moment that happened, my daughter started screaming like on the top of her lungs. She was crying, and it was so weird because at that moment my husband walked in and he said what was wrong. And I told him like I saw something, you know, running, but he thought I was just fucking crazy at first. But my daughter, whenever my husband went to go grab her because she was screaming, she was crying, she kept looking at the direction where I saw a figure pass by. She kept looking there and crying, like her eyes were just so into just that area. Just there, was just staring there. She would cry like sob, and she'll stop a little bit and she'll turn, she'll just like look, and then she'll stare for a little bit and she would again cry again. So that was like the very first things I noticed that was, you know, creepy. I didn't pay attention much to it. I thought maybe it was just my head or whatever, because I watched too many scary movies at night. And ever since then, trust me, I don't like watching scary movies anymore. I swear I don't. Well, mostly not at night, at least. Especially if no one is, like, my husband used to think I was crazy because I used to watch scary movies when he was already asleep, because I love them. Like, I was just not scared. But fuck that bullshit. Like, ever since then, nope. So after that, the second part that happened, I was at home. It was almost 12. My husband was almost coming home. It was 12 and I was in the bedroom, laying down. I was watching YouTube, and the door, I already had my daughter also. The door was closed, right? Out of nowhere, it was already about to be 12. Out of nowhere, I hear like a loud ass noise, like something fell off. Now, mind you, like I didn't have shit. We didn't have nothing. We didn't have a table. We didn't have no decorations. We had no couches. We had nothing in the living room. I heard something and it was so loud. I got so scared. I swear I ran to the door and I locked it and I called my husband crying. And he was like, man, it's just probably the wind or something. Like, how is it gonna be the wind? Like, I don't get it. So I didn't open the door until he came here. I don't know. I was like so scared. Until he got there, he said, he came in the room after. He said there's nothing like that fell in the living room. There's nothing there. So I was like, what the fuck? Okay, so that night passed on. Well, that same night, actually. It was that same night for a whole week. I swear, for a whole week, I had a dream, like a weird dream, that there was a man standing in the door. It kind of looked like La Muerte, you know? But it was just standing by the door, and we were sleeping on the floor, and I actually had my brothers with me. And I was trying to move. Like, I was in the bed, and my brothers were in the floor sleeping, and I was trying to move, and I couldn't. But I do remember seeing that shadow on the door, like next to them. And I would try to scream and move, and I couldn't. So I swear I had that dream for a while. I don't know if it lasted a week or maybe longer, but I had it for a while. So when I started realizing that there was something wrong was because my husband, I didn't tell my husband about this dream. I didn't. No one, because I thought it's just me. I watched so many scary movies. No. After what happened, that dream, it was so I knew there was something wrong in that apartment, because my husband ended up telling me the exact same dream. He described the exact same dream that I had. And I started like crying. I was so scared. So he knew, that's when he kind of, knew that I wasn't crazy. I am crazy, but like to this stuff, I knew I wasn't crazy. So I don't know. I was like, maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know, but this shit, something's going on. Now, here's what happened that ticked us off, and we started to look for a different place, and I was trying to do research, like, what the fuck happened here, like, whatever. What happened was, my husband was in the shower. I wasn't home. I was with my mom. I was with my mom the whole time with my daughter. And my husband had come home from work, and he was in the shower. So I get a phone call. I was just pulling up to the apartment, and I get a phone call from him, and he's like, babe, where are you? And I'm like, I'm just getting here. I'm barely pulling up. And he was like, you weren't here? And I was like, no, I just pulled up, like I told you. He's like, no, you were, like someone just knocked in the restroom while I was showering. And I was like, what the f***? Like, that was not me. I literally just got here. And he was like, what the fuck? The door is open. The front door. Now, before this, my husband had told me a bunch of times during the year that the front door was always open. I'm like, what do you mean it's always open? I always have the locks on, the front one and the top one, always, all the time. Now, during the full year, he was always telling me, why is the door open? Like, when he would come home from work, the door was a little bit cracked, even me myself. But that only happened one time to me, that I noticed that the door was a little bit open. And my husband would tell me, I didn't leave it open, I lock it. So yeah, my husband would tell me that the door was always open, the front door. And there's no possible way the wind can do it, because we would always lock the doors. We always do. So I got home, and the door was already open. And I was like, did someone came in? And he told me, he's like, no, like I had locked the door before I got in the shower. And he started freaking out because he's like, I swear someone just knocked in the restroom while I was showering. He even said he got out to look because he thought I had just got home, but I wasn't even there. So that's when he was like, oh hell no, like, oh my, like what the fuck. And so the next day, what happened, I don't remember, it was the next day or a few days later. Like I swear we couldn't sleep. We had to leave the light, some light on in the living room and in the room, because fuck that bullshit. Like we just couldn't sleep for a long time. So what happened a few days later was that it was some crazy accident like next door to us. Not next door, the next building, that we heard our friend KT, she came over to tell us if we were okay. Like there was someone, the cops were looking for a dude in a white car, and at the time we had a white car, and I'm like, no, Jaime's here, we've been home. So when we look outside, she was like there's some crazy shit going on. Like we looked outside and there was a shitload of cars. And then my mom pulled up because she was coming to give me some, I don't forgot, she was gonna give me something. And she even called me. She's like, are you guys okay? Because you guys are surrounded by ambulance and cops. So we ended up finding out that the next building, they found a fucking head cut off and the body in the tub. It has something to do with the fucking crazy ex-boyfriend murdering his girlfriend. Like they chopped her head off or some shit like that. I'm like, oh fuck no, like that is creepy. And then like a few days later, there was a bunch of people, you know, mourning the loss of the girl in that apartment. They're like, I think they were a Hispanic family. Like I try to get history, like who used to live there, but obviously they're not gonna tell me who used to live there. So what my mother-in-law told me was to get a rose, dip it in holy water, and start doing it, pouring it all over the house. And I was doing that. I would get so many chills when I did that. I did that twice. So my mother-in-law would tell me to do that and to do a prayer in the apartment. But at the time that I did that, we were already leaving. Like we were already moving apartments. So I know there was something going on in that apartment, because as soon as we moved out from there, my daughter just stopped. She stopped crying. She stopped the fussiness. Like she wasn't doing that anymore. She wasn't behaving like she was, so cranky and crazy, crying all the time like she used to. So my mother like tells me that to, you know, throw holy water everywhere every time I move, because you don't really know like what crazy shit happened there. But yeah, you guys, I was just wanting to tell you that experience, because that shit is crazy. Like y'all need to fucking pray and shit whenever. You need to like bendice tu hogar all the time. Like one thing my dad taught me is do never be scared. Don't ever be scared, you know, because that's how they attack you. So that's why I always try to be the brave one, you know. Do not be scared. As much as you are deep inside, like you gotta tell whoever is in there, you gotta tell them like, leave my home, you know, like you're not welcome here, you know. You have to let God protect your home, because it's crazy. Like I don't know, I believe in ghosts, I believe in spirits, and it was just so scary. And that experience, I will never forget it. So I'm kind of in a hurry here, you guys, but I just want to tell you guys this crazy experience. Next time you guys want to move to different apartments, just always pray and bendice tu hogar all the time. Prende veladoras de la Virgencita o de Diosito. Prende tus veladoras para que todas las malas vibras y todos los malos espíritus no entren a tu hogar. Jesus, that was crazy. But thank you guys for listening to this crazy story. I'll come up with new stories that I had experienced before, you guys, but today I got to go.